That's right. Welcome in. Welcome back, folks. First things first, I want to say thank you for your patience. My schedule has been all messed up the last week and a half. I promised you all it was for a very good reason. Let's go ahead and break some news. As of this summer, the Sports Illustrated National Notre Dame coverage platform has become vacant. And I'm proud to announce that I will now be a part of the SI coverage team moving into the platform. I'm sincerely grateful for my time at USA Today, Irish Wire, but Sports Illustrated has always been a dream because of what that brand means and how much weight it carries. I'm thrilled for this opportunity. It's going to include a lot of writing, in-person coverage when available, and my videos and podcasts down the road as well. I promise you guys, I'm going to do what I've always done. Continue to give Notre Dame fans a voice and try and represent your thoughts and feelings. And I can't thank you all enough for making this possible with your support. This opportunity would have never come about without all of you guys watching the content, agreeing with it, disagreeing with it, just engaging in the community. And I'm sincerely grateful for all of you. And I'm really, really excited to get the ball rolling here. That being said, none of this happens alone. This is going to be a team effort. And the managing editor of that team is Nick Shepkowski. He will be also moving over from USA Today, Irish Wire. He's going to be the captain of the ship there, the managing editor. Welcome in, Nick.
I feel like it's a commitment announcement. I feel like I need to go and get like the SI hat or the old free jackets giveaway when you subscribe to the magazine for a year with the SI logo on the sleeve. I feel like I need to be pulling one of those up, putting those on right now. But I could not be more excited about this. A dream of mine, getting to cover Notre Dame football, getting to do it for a brand of Sports Illustrated, getting to blend all of that together. Like if you can go back in your time machine and go talk to like 10-year-old me who had either college football logos and helmets, stickers all over my bedroom door or SI covers on the other side of the door and say, hey, this is what you're going to be doing in a couple of decades, I think I would have punched you because I've been like, here, full of it. There's no chance and you know what, that's going to actually happen. And guess what? We're here. We're now.
Yeah, man, I'm so excited to get into this. And it's just such a great opportunity. And I just can't wait, man. It's what we've been working for all these years and putting in the work for and building our own little presence and everything you've been doing and all my YouTube stuff. Like you said, I never could have imagined it would build to kind of this moment. And I just can't wait to get into it, man. And we went from summer, nothing happening, when's football come back? And then boom, now we got camp back, all these changes, us trying to get everything organized by means. People have been going, John, something's up with you. You're not doing live shows. You're falling off. What's going on? That's what's been going on. We've had a lot of behind the scenes stuff to kind of get the ball rolling here. So Nick, this is going to be fantastic. I can't wait.
Yeah, I could not be more excited either. Like this stuff obviously doesn't come together overnight. I've been planning out some of this, which has taken some time, but hey, wanted to get it right. Could not be more excited about it. Could not be more excited for the opportunity. Some of the coverage that we'll be able to do a little bit different than what we've done in the past. Not that one's necessarily better or worse. It's just going to be a little bit different. And I think more what fits where our strengths are, maybe plays to that a little bit better than maybe some things have in the past. So I could not be more excited about it. I mean, I don't know how many times I call you and just this idea, that idea, or your shared texts with me or whatnot. And it's like, cannot get enough of this. Like it's those moments that you're like, all right, this is what I want. This is what we're going to go get. And then you get to one of those moments and you're like, all right, we're here. But now there's a hell of a lot of planning and game planning and how we're going to attack this thing that has to go into it to make it work. So all that's been going on. And I could not be more excited. You have a third-year head coach and Marcus Freeman going into what's going to be a huge year, one of the craziest years with college football, just based off of the expanded playoff and everything going on the field, off the field at this point in the season, whether it's Notre Dame related or not. I couldn't think of a better time or a crazier time to kind of be jumping into this. And it's going to be awesome. And I cannot wait to get this thing started.
Yeah, it's going to be a fabulous ride and an exciting year. And we also want to mention, as many of you know from some of my content in the past and from writing and being around the niche, Mason Plummer and Nathan Erbach are going to be joining our team as well. And this would be the team I would build. And I always thought about, Nick, when it's like, you know, you would think about it, John, if you had the control to put together a team of people you trust that are well-rounded to cover Notre Dame and balance out different strengths and approaches, this was always the lineup I had in mind. And it's always been in the back of my mind that if we ever got into a position, this is what that team would look like. So Mason Plummer and Nathan Erbach, they're going to be a part of this as well. And we may even add some surprises on top of that down the road. We're going to see how this thing evolves as we get going. But we want to be able to give you guys everything. The breaking news, reactions to what's going on, recruiting stuff, breaking down all the information, film, whatever we need to do. We want to be a one-stop shop for you guys to get all your Notre Dame information. This is going to be a wild ride.
Yeah, and what part of it that I'm excited about too, there's a ton to be excited about. But when we started crafting this and started putting this together, and my thought was like, well, if it's going to work, you kind of need to understand the Notre Dame thing. And I mean, Lou Holtz said it best. It's his whole description of either the explanation is no explanation will do justice to what Notre Dame is, or none is necessary, or one is not necessary. And that's exactly kind of like what I thought. And I'm like, well, with us four, you, me, myself, Nathan, and with Mason, it's like, yeah, those are four people that have grown up around this, that have gotten it, whatever the kind of, you know, the fire and passion, blue and gold and green and the blood and whatever else that goes into it. It's there. It's a part of it. And I think that's going to be a key part of this team that's able to, you know, watch a game and not just have to give you necessarily like, and not that it's a bad thing that the reporters do it, but give the reporter a motionless take. It's going to be, there is a fan element to it and don't want to get away from that, but also don't want to do it too hard that way where you lose track of what's real, what's not real, what's pure emotion, what's kind of fact that you're basing things off of. And you can kind of combine all of that together with the four of us, and definitely excited where this thing's going to go.
Yeah. And a big thing I've told all of you guys on the air and, you know, on calls together and individually, the trust here. I trust all of you guys professionally. I trust all of you guys personally. There's no games. There's no egos. There's no leveraging. Like, there is none of that with this group. And that is a big deal to me, and something where I have not joined up with some other opportunities here and there because I wanted to wait for that feel where I really felt confident in the team and I had that trust and I could feel that loyalty and know I could rely on everybody to pitch in and do a good job. That's a big deal to all of us. And so we are ready to get this thing started. So I think what we'll do is hang with us as we roll this out and get going into camp. And we'll start figuring out the easiest ways for you guys to find our content and the new website and how this is all going to go, so that you could get all that coverage, whether it be the articles or linking videos through their news, whatever it is. We'll kind of grow through this together. And we really appreciate you guys going along for the ride. None of this happens without you guys watching our stuff, reading our stuff over the years, and building that following up. So this is a lot about all of you guys too.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I mean, it's as easy as a Google search. It's just Notre Dame on SI. If you throw that into Google, it comes right up. si.com/college/Notre Dame. That gets you there too. And yeah, you're right about that, because whether it was my days in radio, that's kind of how I met you. Was I was the only kind of open Notre Dame fan on the Score. You reach out to me to do an interview one time, and all of a sudden it becomes a pretty, I don't want to say regular, but regular enough thing where I'm either tuning into your show or whatever else with that, being a guest on your show. get a job in school districts, and I'm spending far too much time on the iPad watching your show thinking, God, I'd rather be talking about Notre Dame than writing some of these press releases and whatever else I'm doing right now. That seems a lot more fun. I'd rather be talking about college football than some of this, but how do we get to that? How do we do that? And it doesn't happen overnight. You have to have kind of a plan and have to execute a plan. And so far that's been done. And like I said, I just cannot get more excited about what's to come with all of this, because the blend of the people that are in this together, the built-in, your loyal listeners, I think our following from our previous work as well. All of it, could not be more excited about it. And I think it's gonna rock, and I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's gonna be a riot. So Nick, I mean, if we're already on here and we got the business part out of the way, I mean, I guess we should probably talk about a little bit of football. We had the first day of camp this morning. Marcus Freeman spoke this morning. I think everybody's relieved just to have football back, man. You get in your own head in the summer, a million questions with no immediate answers. I think there's some recruiting anxiety going on right now, too. The best thing that could happen is to get back out there and see these guys running around. I think we need to take a couple minutes, talk about maybe some of the takeaways from day one, and blending that into what Freeman had to say as well. What are a couple of your thoughts here?
Yeah, yes, thank goodness it's back. It's a countdown to get here. Like, come on. Oh, how many days until practice starts? How many days until there's something? How many times can we go over this list or that list of just trying to count down the days? And then all of a sudden it gets here and it's like the fire hose is open. You're trying to drink from the thing to catch up on all the different content ideas and everything that's going on, the news that comes out, whether it's huge news or just small news, it's news regardless. And need to have a thought on it and need to get that shared and out to the public with all of that. So it gets real busy real quick. It's kind of like, in a way, it's like, all right, family, see you a little bit after Christmas, hopefully a couple weeks into January, if this all goes right. But take care until then. Oh, I hope all is well. Hope all is great. But no, not in a non-kidding part. It is great to have it actually back, because I mean, you've talked about, and I know that your listeners and your viewers give you grief over the dog days. Dog days for us start at a different time. Once you're a little bit out of spring ball and kind of the storylines wind down from that, you get into the dog days where it is, you're crying for the content. You're crying for something new, something to happen. And recruiting helps cover that a little bit, but nothing's better than the actual product when it's there. And, we're a month away from it on the 31st of August when it actually kicks off at Texas A&M. But obviously the temperature turns up a significant amount when that first practice takes place. And that's what happened today.
And the temperature literally turns up when your first game's at Texas A&M in August. And that was, and you know what? I'm glad that was asked about today. Somebody brought it up to Freeman and said, what's the deal with that? And he said, it is a nice hot day and we got to get used to it. And then I liked what he said, not only getting in there and practicing with it, but the recovery after that, what that looks like, knowing your body, how you need to replenish your fuel and everything. That is going to be an ongoing thing all camp, is that heat and that noise that's going to await these guys at A&M. The one thing I was looking to hear from Freeman early, and we did, Riley Leonard seems to be 100%. And they're kind of easing in Morrison and Evans back into things. But it's a great, great sign that those guys were out there running around, trending up to playing at A&M. I mean, those are like your most productive guys on each side of the ball. That's a big deal. That was a big relief for me to see those guys are out there running around.
Yeah, it's helpful that they're out running around, but I think even more clarity to it comes with what Marcus Freeman said afterwards. And he had a chance to say that, okay, well, yeah, they're out there and they're not quite medically clear. No, they're still in the protocol of what the recovery looks like. But when given the opportunity to say that we'll see if they're ready for A&M, or they're not going to be ready for A&M, or they will be ready for A&M, they're on track. They'll be there for A&M. Made that pretty clear to kill any drama that might be surrounded with it of, will Benjamin Morrison be starting? Will Mitchell Evans be starting? Okay, yeah, there's still a little bit to go in the kind of the recovery process from injuries and from surgeries that took place. But those are full systems go by the time, in the way that he said it too, lends you to believe that it's not going to be like Benjamin Morrison's cleared on Tuesday and the game's on Saturday. It seems like it's going to get there sooner rather than later, and he's going to have some extended time, and Evans and Bauman as well have some extended time to get reps, to get the rust off, essentially, that just kind of builds up when you've had a significant amount of the spring off in those guys' cases, the whole spring off in Mitchell Evans' case, and Bauman's case in terms of recovering from surgeries, and then getting from that and getting to be full systems go. So it's not like, okay, yeah, a couple days of practice under the belt and they're ready to go for Saturday. No, it seems like it's going to be sooner rather than later. And that's only beneficial as well for both sides, the offense and the defense.
Yeah. And also, I had my little checklist of notes of like what I wanted to hear from Freeman or the reporting coming back from practice. Here's something else that was on my list. And I got to say, I like where it's trending. The information that Emil Wagner was running with the ones at that tackle spot opposite of Charles. I really like that, Nick. It's a little bit aggressive to me that you're going with like giving the one reps there with the younger, kind of uber talented, but younger guy with the high physical upside ceiling, rather than maybe a guy that's been in the program and has more experience, but is a little maybe less athletic, physically gifted. I like that. That's a little bit like ballsy to me. I kind of like having that guy out there, a young athletic guy, because you're going to be going athletic guys flying off the edge at A&M. I really like rolling him out there with the ones and giving that young guy a chance to emerge and be like, this is going to be my spot, and I'm anchoring it. I like seeing that.
Yeah, well, look at how this team reaches its full potential. Does it reach its full potential if Tosh Baker reaches his full potential at this point, or does it reach its full potential if you see an improved Emil Wagner? Or I'll take it even a step further. If we get into the middle of October and a guy who's only been on campus for a matter of seemingly days now, a couple of weeks actually, but really it doesn't seem like very long, and I'm talking about the talented and uber-sized Gerby Lambert, does he play himself into a role where he becomes a factor in that right tackle discussion as well? Because you talk to anyone associated with the program, you talk to anyone that's there on a regular basis, and you ask about like highest ceiling type of thing in terms of the tackles, and it seems like that's your clear answer of who has the highest potential of those is Lambert. And is it a matter of time until he works his way into the discussion as well? I think it's something to keep an eye on, at least, if nothing else.
Yeah, and we all know, I think to me, one of, if not the biggest matchups of game one is going to be Notre Dame's offensive line and their preparedness in that environment going against Texas A&M's defensive front, which we know is athletic and has those SEC bodies and traits. It's going to be a big time matchup. And so that was an interesting note. Here's something else I love, and I'm sure the whole fan base did. And it's the most obvious thing we've all been speaking about. But as much as we can, you got to get that guy the ball. Music to everybody's ears. He's a weapon. You got to get him the ball. I just loved hearing it from Freeman, even though it's the most obvious thing in the world.
Yeah, it's when you're on offense that you're wondering who the playmakers are kind of who's it going to be this year? Who are the playmakers going to be? You feel pretty good about Jeremiah Love being that guy. Now, is it a running back role? Is it moving him out to the slot, throwing him the ball from there? Whatever it is, it's clear as day that Marcus Freeman and Mike Denbrock know that, okay, that is as elite a playmaker as there is on this offense. And how do you get an elite playmaker to make plays? Oh, get the ball in his hands. It's almost like if you could go back in time to talk to Lou about that in like 1989 and 90 with Rocket a little more, but that's a different discussion for a different day. Okay, what a concept. Get him on the field, get him in those matchups, not just on the field, but where is he in a favorable matchup? Sometimes it's going to be in the backfield. Sometimes it's going to be in a slot where you get him in, you get him against a lesser nickel back, or you get him in a lesser linebacker that just can't match his speed whatsoever. And then he goes to town, and all of a sudden it's 2 plays, 78 yards down the field, and you're knocking on the door of the end zone again because you get the ball in his hands in creative ways a couple of times. And he's one of those guys that can absolutely destroy a defense, even very good ones.
Yeah. And the other thing is, Mike Denbrock's known as a mismatch master. That is a skill set that he is known for, is finding those athlete matchups and mismatches. And I think that's going to be a great tool. Here's something else, too, that I liked hearing today from Marcus, talking about the wide receivers, saying, like, I don't contribute or whatever. Him saying we just need to find a way to get the best guys out there to go catch passes and do whatever we got to do to get them out there. And I'm not worried. I don't want to log jam in one area, and the best guys are going to find a way to get out there. I liked hearing that too. I think they know those wide receivers got to take a step up this year.
Yeah, and I think what's key also is looking at this and realizing how bad this wide receiver group has been. Like, that's not to knock guys that have gone through the program, but you're looking at what? Chase Claypool last played in 2019 for Notre Dame. This is probably your best set of receivers since at least then. You might argue the year before that they had a better group because Miles Boykin was involved there. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, I don't know what Bo Collins is going to be, but it should be an upgrade. Jaden Greathouse in a second year and hopefully with full health instead of nursing the hamstring injury throughout, that should be improved. Can Jaden Thomas stay on the field? Not that he's going to run away from a ton of guys, but that body size creates some matchup nightmares with smaller cornerbacks where it's like a man playing among boys a lot of the time. Like, okay, well, that can be better. That can be improved. Can Chris Mitchell be that speed guy that takes the top off of a defense that really has been lacking? That they tried to force into being Braden Lindsey for a couple of years there and tried to force it in different ways, and it just has not existed that way. So you look at this, and I'm not saying like, oh my God, you're full of Bolitnikoff Award finalists and whatever else all of a sudden, but from where it is to where it's going or where it needs to go, I think at least at this point of the year, it feels like it's a clear step in the right direction compared to what it's been in the last few years past.
Yeah, I agree with that. Flipping it over to the defensive side of the ball, I think that's a little bit of a different story. You know, that there's more reliability there. You're in year 3 of putting that defense together under Al Golden. You feel really good about the blend of older, proven guys and younger, athletic guys mixing in together. What stands out to you about that defense? I think they have a lot of decisions to make with their linebacker group, with a lot of guys that can contribute, figuring out the best roles for all those guys. If healthy, you feel pretty good about that secondary again. And then I think there's some unique weapons up front on that defense that so for me, it's more about like picking your spots and finding those roles and those packages for the personnel to really take the defense from really, really good and push it up from there. What are you seeing with that defense?
Well, it all starts up front for me, and that's where I think this defense is made. And you can talk about it's an uptick in linebacker recruiting. Sure, you've had some big time recruits come in, but bringing in multiple of those guys year after year, that's going to really start to show itself this year. You have a secondary that, you have the last year's Nagurski Award winner, and you have what's arguably a top 3 at worst cornerback when healthy, and Benjamin Morrison. You're in pretty good shape there. Rod Hurd had he played anywhere but probably Northwestern last year, you probably know that name a lot better instead of playing at one of the less covered teams in all of Power 5 football. And you bring that part into the secondary as well. And you look at this and it's all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, that part's good. But even the best secondary, you have to get pressure up front. You have to be able to be good up front. And that's where I think Notre Dame is best. Howard Cross is on a short list of the best interior defensive linemen there are in the game. Riley Mills went from being, I think 2 years ago, all right, well, he's a freakish body and he shows signs here or there. He started to really put that together last year, comes back for this year. That's an added bonus to this team. Bringing in RJ Oben from Duke. He was I don't want to say a nightmare, but he caused some headaches a little bit in that game, watching him against what wound up being a second round or a couple of first round tackles in that game. So you add that up and you're like, this is really good shape. And then can you get something out of Jordan Botelho that hasn't been there yet? Can he take that step? Can he grow his role or grow what he's able to do? And that would almost be, it's crazy to think, because I think at this point last year, you're looking at him to be like the breakout star of this defense. And now it's like, well, if he can go anywhere near reaching what that potential or what that hype kind of was, this goes from being like, oh, that's a really good line to like, ooh, that is one of the top couple of defensive lines in college football. And if the college football playoff has taught you anything in recent years, yes, you need a great quarterback to win, it's obvious, but you better be able to hold your own, especially on both the defensive side of the line, or you're going to get run through and run over. And I think that it's pretty fair to say that Notre Dame's in that conversation of, all right, maybe they're not quite there of like championship level, but they're starting to really knock on the door of that. It brings some, I don't know, you can't help but kind of think back to like that 2012 team and how that was built defensively. Sure, Manti Te'o got the publicity and had the stories and the 7 interceptions to go along with it. That team was built defensively up front. It was good as just about anybody. And that's what won them 12 games in a row to be in the position to get blown out by Alabama in the championship game.
Yeah, I think with that defense, listen, you're nitpicking at this point because they were really, really darn solid. A top 10 unit last year. Like, you're nitpicking. Here's 2 things I'm looking at. And this is high praise. And I'm getting this specific because they're really, really darn good. Number 1 is think about each of the games we lost last year featured one back-breaking run play where we had a bad fit, and it at the worst time in each of those games, there was one of them that was just an absolute killer against us. You got to shore that up. And whether, I don't know whether that falls on the responsibility on the D-line or the linebackers. I have to talk to partner Goolsby about that one to fill those gaps and make the perfect read there and angle. Making sure you shore up that run game. And then one more thing is, especially against the better talent we face, making some of those big game-changing play, a pick six, in the biggest moment against the biggest teams, a strip sack, pick up and score. And I know I'm getting real picky, but that's what it takes to beat the best teams you play with the talent. Making that one splash play where the defense gets a score or whatever. So those are being picky, but this should be a really good unit, Nick. This defense should be something to behold. And you might need them week 1 against A&M. Well, that offense is trying to find itself in all that chaos. You might need that defense to win the day. But I'm real encouraged about that group overall.
Yeah, I don't know. I look at the A&M game right now, and it's like, I don't know what the total is. Probably somewhere in the mid-40s. And it's like, bet the under on that.
Yeah.
Because I think it's going to be, you have 2 real good defensive fronts. You have a couple of offensive lines that are looking to learn some things about themselves and establish things themselves. And that reeks of struggling to score points both ways, unless of like pick sixes and that thing. But I think what you touched on right there in terms of the turnovers and turning the turnovers into points, you saw it impact the Clemson game where Hartman throws the pick six. Notre Dame goes down 21-3 right away in that. And you saw it impact the USC game where Notre Dame's able to force a couple of those turnovers early. Watts had the pick six in that. Was it a pick six and a fumble return for a touchdown in that game? And there was a special team score in that game. And it's like, those are the things that went from that being a competitive ball game to, oh, it's a blowout, it's a romp, and a lot of the nation's turning it off late in the third quarter or before the fourth quarter because it's blowout city, and you're getting to Caleb Williams and getting him to do things that he hasn't done in his college career because he hasn't seen pressure like that. And he hasn't seen mixed up secondaries and coverages like that in his collegiate career. So this defense is going to keep you in. I mean, you look at the schedule, Notre Dame's going to be in every game, but this defense is one of those, like, when you get to hopefully those big time games in late December and early January, it's going to be enough to compete. And how quickly can that offense learn? Can it grow so it can do something? I'm not saying it's going to be anywhere near the same level as being like a top 10 unit like Notre Dame's defense should be, but so it's at least competitive. So you're not looking at a Cotton Bowl appearance against Clemson and you're getting run out of the building 30-3 because you can't move the ball down the field whatsoever.
Yeah, it's just exciting. It's good to be back, and it's just good to be back into the football, and we're excited to get into the coverage. Anything else from day one, Nick? That was a lot of the things that stood out to me. Anything else as we round this episode out here?
I mean, it seemed like just kind of the story at training camp. You always kind of just keep your fingers crossed of, okay, health.
Yeah.
Notre Dame's been hit with that multiple times in multiple camps over recent years. And you just kind of keep your finger crossed of like, all right, no, hopefully no one goes down. And not that you want anyone to get hurt, but like if somebody does, can it please not be a big time contributor or something along those lines? Just kind of keeping it that. It seemed like that was all good for today. Obviously, that's the first of a bunch of practices to get through, but it's the excitement. Like you finally get to it. I don't know. It's relieving. Like, oh my goodness, you said it so right. You call it the dog days, and it's like our dog days are different. Trying to get through the early parts of summer because you're like, all right, just get football, just get here. Like, how many times can I?
Yeah.
The what if this, what if that, wonder this, wonder that. When's there actually going to be something? There is something. Game is a month away. Best time of the year is coming, my friend.
Yeah, it's going to be great, and I can't wait for the ride. And I hope all of you go along on the ride with us. It's never going to be boring, Nick. I've been saying that ever since I've been doing content. You may not always love what's going on, but there's never a dull moment with Notre Dame. There's always something somewhere going on in Notre Dame, and we'll be here to cover it all. And again, thanks everybody for your support over the years and making it possible for Nick and I to kind of give content to you guys. And it's just something we love doing. And we're excited to partner with Sports Illustrated and do that in the future. Anything else on the way out, Nick?
Yeah, just si.com/colleges/Notre Dame, or just Google it, Notre Dame on SI. Get there, get viewing it, get reading those articles, and we'll be there for you all season long, all off season long. It's going to be a fun ride. Can't wait to really get this going now that the word is out and the work is being done.
Yep. And all you on Twitter, that's an easy way to find this stuff too. We'll be linking all this stuff in our bios. And when we do articles and videos or whatever, we'll post that link so you could get familiar, get in that SI site and play around in there. So thanks everybody. This is wonderful. We're excited to do this. And some of you knew there was something brewing and cooking, and we had to figure out the back end stuff. So it's a relief to kind of be able to spill the beans here and fill you all in. And let's go on this ride together and go Irish. Take care, everybody.